Sarah's hands trembled as she tore open the unmarked package on her own delivery route. Her postal uniform suddenly too tight to breathe in. Inside lay her daughter's baby blanket, the same one missing for 3 years, along with her teenage child who had vanished without a trace. The pink fabric still carried the faint lavender scent that had once filled their home. Now just a hollow reminder of midnight feedings and first steps turned to desperate searches and unanswered prayers. Sarah collapsed onto the porch steps, clutching the blanket to her chest as a small folded note fluttered to the ground. Bearing handwriting she would recognize anywhere, why would this precious memento suddenly appear on her delivery route after years of silence? And what heart-wrenching truth awaited her in that carefully folded note? If this story touched your heart, please comment below with any similar experiences you might have had with unexpected connections to lost loved ones. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and share this with someone who believes in second chances. Sarah's key turned in the lock of her modest ranch-style home, the sound echoing through the empty hallway. The house had been quiet for 3 years now, too quiet. She moved mechanically, setting her mailbag by the door, hanging her postal service cap on the hook, and placing the package, that impossible package, on the kitchen counter. Her feet carried her down the hallway, before her mind could protest. The door to Emma's bedroom remained exactly as it had been the morning she discovered her daughter gone, untouched, a shrine to absence. Sarah pushed the door open, wincing at its familiar creak. Afternoon light filtered through lavender curtains, casting purple shadows across the unmade bed. A hastily scribbled note still sat on the nightstand, protected now by a picture frame, as if museumifying the moment her world collapsed. "Mum, I need to find myself. Please don't look for me. I love you." Emma. 17 words that had hollowed her out, 17 words she'd read thousands of times, searching for clues, for meaning, for anything she might have missed. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, unfolding the baby blanket from the package. She'd crocheted it herself during her pregnancy, each stitch a prayer for her unborn child. The pink yarn had faded, but the tiny embroidered butterflies in the corner remained vibrant. Emma had dragged this blanket everywhere until she was 7. "Why now?" Sarah whispered, running her fingers along the familiar fabric. Something crinkled. Sarah turned the blanket over, examining the hem. Tiny numbers were written in faded ink along the seam. A phone number, no to many digits, arranged strangely. Sarah reached for her phone with shaking hands, pulling up a Maps application. When she entered the numbers, the screen zoomed to a location in Portland, Oregon. Her heart raced as she rose, moving to Emma's desk where her laptop still sat. She opened it, typing Emma's name into social media sites as she had weekly for 3 years. Still no activity, no photos, no updates. She returned to the blanket, bringing it to her face. Beneath the lavender detergent, there was something else, a hint of cigarette smoke, coffee, and city air. This blanket had been somewhere, with someone. With Emma, for the first time in 3 years, Sarah felt something dangerous bloom in her chest. Hope, you know we closed this case a year ago. Detective Rivera didn't look up from his desk as Sarah placed the blanket in front of him. His office smelled of coffee and stale donuts, the cliché somehow comforting in its predictability. "She's not missing anymore, Mrs. Reynolds. She left voluntarily. She was 18. This came to me today," Sarah said, pointing to the blanket. "Look at the coordinates in the hem." Rivera sighed, reaching for his reading glasses. He was nearing retirement, his salt and pepper hair now mostly salt, his once broad shoulders slightly stooped. He'd been kind to Sarah when others suggested Emma was just another rebellious teen. "Portland," he said, examining the numbers. "That's a long way from Illinois." "I'm going," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the earthquake inside her chest. "I've already called in for emergency leave at the post office." Rivera's eyes softened. Sarah... It might not be her. It could be a cruel prank. Who else would have her baby blanket? Who else would know what it means to me? Sarah's voice cracked. "I have to try." Rivera nodded slowly, turning to his computer. "Let me make some calls to Portland PD, see if there's been any activity under her name." "Thank you," Sarah whispered. As Rivera typed, Sarah stared at the wall of missing persons behind his desk. Emma's photo, her high school senior portrait, with that half smile that never quite reached her eyes, had been moved to the resolved section, resolved as if a teenager leaving a note absolved everyone of responsibility. "Nothing in the system," Rivera said finally. "No arrests, no hospital visits, no death certificates." He paused. "That's good news. I'm still going, I figured." Rivera scribbled on a business card. "My cousin works Portland homicide. He's a good man. Call him when you get there." Sarah took the card, surprised by the detective's support. "I'll be taking emergency leave starting tomorrow," she said, gathering the blanket. "My sister Lisa is coming with me." "Smart, don't go alone." Rivera hesitated. "Sarah, prepare yourself. 3 years is a long time. She might not be the Emma you remember." Sarah nodded, her throat tight. "I just need to know she's alive." As she turned to leave, Rivera called after her. "Hey Reynolds, bring her home." Sarah clutched the blanket tighter and walked out into the bright afternoon, pulling out her phone to call her sister. Portland was 2,100 miles away. A 30-hour drive. By tomorrow morning, she would be on her way. For the first time in 3 years, Sarah had a direction to move toward instead of a memory to orbit around. Interstate 80 stretched before them like a promise, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the heart of America. Sarah stared out the passenger window as her sister Lisa navigated through Iowa farmland. They'd been driving for 6 hours, having left Maplewood before dawn. "You should sleep," Lisa said, eyes fixed on the road ahead. "We've got a long way to go." Sarah shook her head. Sleep felt like betrayal now that she had something to move toward. "I keep thinking about what I missed." Lisa sighed, tucking a strand of gray-streaked hair behind her ear. At 52, she was 4 years older than Sarah, a high school English teacher with no children of her own. "You didn't miss anything." Emma was good at hiding. "I was delivering mail while my daughter was planning to run away." "You were providing for her after David died." "There's no shame in that." Sarah closed her eyes, fighting the familiar guilt. Her husband's heart attack 8 years ago had left her a single mother working 60-hour weeks, while Emma grieved her father. Sarah grieved the time she couldn't spend with her daughter. "There's something I never told you," Lisa said quietly. About 6 months before Emma left, Sarah turned to her sister. "What?" "I caught her smoking behind the gym when I was chaperoning the winter formal." "Not cigarettes, Sarah. She was with that boy Jason, Justin, Jared," Sarah whispered. "The one with the motorcycle." Lisa nodded. "I promised I wouldn't tell you if she broke it off with him. I thought I was helping." Sarah stared at her sister, 1,000 questions rising in her throat. Before she could voice any of them, her phone chimed with a navigation alert. "The coordinates," she said, checking the map application. "We'll reach Portland tomorrow night. If we drive straight through, we'll take shifts," Lisa said. "But we're stopping tonight. You need rest." As they crossed the Nebraska border, flat farmland giving way to gentle hills, Sarah studied the baby blanket on her lap. The coordinates led to a place called Hope Sisters Shelter in downtown Portland. The name felt like an omen. "I've been thinking about the note," Sarah said. It was just the blanket and the coordinates. No message. "Maybe the blanket is the message," Lisa suggested. "A piece of home." "Or a piece of Emma," Sarah murmured, running her fingers over the embroidered butterflies. Through Wyoming's vast emptiness and Utah's red rock beauty, they talked about Emma, not the vanished daughter but the child she had been. Her first steps, taken toward the Christmas tree, her determination to learn to read before kindergarten, the way she'd cried when David died, curled around this very blanket. She was so angry after, Lisa remembered as they crossed into Idaho. Not just sad, angry. "At David for leaving," Sarah said. "At me for not being enough." "At the world," Lisa corrected gently. "Not at you." But Sarah wasn't sure. As mountains rose in the distance, she wondered what version of her daughter might be waiting in Portland if she was waiting at all. Portland greeted them with rain, a fine mist that blurred the edges of the unfamiliar city. After finding a cheap motel on the outskirts, Sarah and Lisa followed the GPS coordinates to a downtown area that had seen better days. Hope Sisters Shelter occupied a converted warehouse, its brick facade softened by murals of women's faces, their expressions ranging from despair to determination. "Ready?" Lisa asked, squeezing Sarah's hand. Sarah nodded, clutching her purse where Emma's photograph waited. They pushed through the front door into a busy reception area. Women of various ages sat in mismatched chairs, some with children, others alone with thousand-yard stares. A security guard nodded at them from beside a metal detector. "Can I help you?" A woman in her 60s approached, her silver dreadlocks gathered in a loose bun. "I'm looking for my daughter," Sarah said, the words catching in her throat. "Emma Reynolds." She would be 21 now. The woman's expression revealed nothing. "I'm Grace Martinez, the director here. Why don't we talk in my office?" They followed Grace down a hallway decorated with inspirational quotes and artwork clearly created by shelter residents. Her office was small but welcoming, with plants on every surface and a wall of photographs, women smiling, graduating, holding keys to apartments. "Success stories," Grace explained. noticing Sarah's gaze. Now, tell me about Emma. Sarah pulled out the photograph. Emma at 18, dark hair falling across one eye. Reluctant smile not quite masking the sadness she'd carried since her father's death. Grace studied it for a long moment, then looked up. She stayed here. About a year ago. Sarah's heart stuttered. She was here. You're sure she called herself Emma Taylor? But yes, this is her. Grace's eyes were kind but cautious. She was with us for nearly 4 months. For months, Sarah repeated, trying to imagine her daughter in this place, among strangers. Was she... Was she okay? Grace hesitated. She was pregnant when she arrived. The world tilted sideways. Sarah felt Lisa's hand on her back, steadying her. Pregnant? Sarah echoed. The word hung in the air between them. About 6 months along when she came to us. She delivered here in Portland, a healthy baby girl, a granddaughter. Sarah had a granddaughter she'd never met. The thought struck her with physical force. Where is she now? Lisa asked when Sarah couldn't speak. Emma left about 8 months ago. She didn't say where she was going. Grace's expression softened. The baby was with her when she left. Did she? Sarah struggled to form the question. Did she mention me? She said her mother was a mail carrier who worked too hard, Grace said gently. She worried about you being alone. Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. She sent me her baby blanket with this address. Grace frowned. That's strange. She hasn't been back here since she left. Do you have any idea where she might have gone? Any friends? Contacts? She was close with a girl named Jade. They left together. Grace wrote on a slip of paper. This was the address they were heading to. It's not much, but it's something. Sarah took the paper, a lifeline in an ocean of uncertainty. Thank you. As they rose to leave, Grace touched Sarah's arm. Your daughter named the baby Sarah. Portland Memorial Hospital loomed against the afternoon sky, a maze of glass and concrete. Sarah clutched the baby blanket as they approached the information desk, where a receptionist greeted them with practiced cheer. Birth records, Sarah said. For a baby born approximately 8 months ago, the mother is my daughter. The receptionist's smile faded. I'm sorry, but we can't release patient information without proper authorization. Please, Sarah said, her voice breaking. Her name is Emma Reynolds or Emma Taylor. She would have been 21. The baby's name is Sarah. I understand your concern, but privacy laws. Is there a supervisor we could speak with? Lisa interrupted her teacher, voice firm but kind. 20 minutes and 3 administrative levels later, they sat across from a woman named Marlene Peterson, the night nursing supervisor who'd been called down on her day off. She had kind eyes and stress lines around her mouth. I shouldn't be doing this, she said, typing on her computer. But I'm a mother too. Sarah held her breath as Marlene scanned records here. Marlene said finally, Emma Taylor, admitted 10 months ago. Delivered a healthy baby girl, 6 pounds, 4 ounces. She looked up, named Sarah Grace Taylor. Grace, the shelter director. Sarah pressed her hand to her mouth. The father? Lisa asked. None listed. Marlene continued reading. Emma received standard postnatal care, no complications. She hesitated. There's a note here about a social work consult for postpartum depression screening. Was she ... diagnosed? Sarah asked. The records don't show further treatment. Marlene's eyes softened. But postpartum can be serious, especially for young mothers without support systems. Sarah flinched at the implied criticism. She didn't tell me she was pregnant, she whispered. I would have helped her. Of course you would have, Marlene said. Listen, this isn't in the records, but we had a young mother on that floor who'd been escaping an abusive relationship. She was terrified her ex would find her through hospital records. Sarah remembered Rivera's warning. She might not be the... Emma, you remember, do you know where she went after discharge? Lisa asked. The address on file is in Southeast Portland. Marlene wrote it down. It matches our records for a patient named Jade Chen, admitted around the same time for pneumonia. The same Jade from the shelter. Sarah felt a flutter of hope. One more thing, Marlene said, glancing around before lowering her voice. Emma came back for a checkup with the baby about 6 weeks after birth. One of the nurses remembered her, because she was asking about changing their names legally. She seemed ... afraid. The flutter of hope transformed into a knot of dread. What or who had Emma been running from? Thank you, Sarah said, standing on shaky legs. As they walked through the hospital corridors toward the exit, Sarah stopped suddenly by the nursery window. Newborns slept in their bassinets, oblivious to the complex world awaiting them. I have a granddaughter, she said, the reality finally sinking in. I have a granddaughter named Sarah. Lisa wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Let's go find Them both. The apartment building in southeast Portland had seen better decades. Paint peeled from the exterior like skin after a sunburn, and the security door hung ajar, its lock long since broken. Sarah hesitated at the entrance, suddenly, aware of how sheltered her small Midwestern town had been. "Third floor," Lisa said, checking the address Marlene had provided. They climbed stairs that smelled of stale cigarettes and spilled beer. On the third floor, they found apartment 312, its doorframe splintered from what looked like a previous break-in. Sarah knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Louder. "Hello. I'm looking for Jade Chen." Footsteps approached. The door opened a crack, secured by a chain. A young Asian woman with purple-streaked hair peered out. "Who's asking?" "I'm Sarah Reynolds, Emma Taylor's mother." The chain slid free. The door opened wider to reveal a thin woman in her early 20s, dressed in scrubs, dark circles under her eyes. "You're Emma's mum." Jade studied Sarah skeptically. "Prove it." Sarah held out the baby blanket. "She sent me this. With coordinates. To the shelter where you both stayed." Jade's expression softened. "You'd better come in." The apartment was small but surprisingly neat, with mismatched furniture and walls covered in band posters. A nursing textbook lay open on the coffee table. "I'm in school now," Jade explained, following Sarah's gaze. "Emma helped me apply for financial aid before she ... double quotes." She trailed off. "Before she what?" Sarah asked quietly. Jade sat on the edge of a threadbare armchair. "She left, about 4 months ago." "Left where?" "To go where?" "I don't know." Jade's eyes filled with tears. "She didn't tell me. Just said it wasn't safe to stay." "The baby?" Lisa asked. "Little Sarah." Jade looked away. "Emma left her with me. Said it would just be for a few days while she found them a safer place." She swallowed hard. "That was 4 months ago." Sarah felt dizzy. "You have my granddaughter." "No." Jade's voice broke. "I couldn't. I'm in nursing school, working nights. I tried for a month, but I couldn't care for a baby alone. I called social services." The floor seemed to tilt beneath Sarah's feet. "Social services? You gave her away." "I had no choice." Jade stood, defensive. "Emma disappeared. No calls, no texts. The baby deserved better than I could give her." Lisa guided Sarah to the couch as her knees weakened. "Do you know which agency took the baby?" "Portland Family Services." Jade retrieved a business card from a drawer. "My caseworker was Mr. Patterson. He promised they'd find Sarah a good foster home." Sarah took the card with numb fingers. Her granddaughter, her namesake, was in foster care while Emma was missing again. "Did Emma ever mention why she left? Who she was afraid of?" Lisa asked. Jade hesitated. "There was a guy. Emma never said his name, but sometimes she'd wake up screaming. Once, she thought she saw him outside the hospital when Sarah was born." "The baby's father?" Sarah asked. "I think so." Jade rubbed her arms as if suddenly cold. "Emma said he'd kill her if he found them." Sarah stood, sudden determination cutting through her shock. "We need to find Mr. Patterson now." Portland Family Services occupied half a floor in a downtown government building. The waiting room buzzed with the particular tension of bureaucracy meeting human. Crisis-harried caseworkers hurrying past parents trying to keep restless children quiet. Sarah approached the reception desk, Jade's card in hand. "I need to see Marcus Patterson. It's about my granddaughter." 30 minutes later, they were ushered into a cramped office where a black man in his 40s looked up from a mountain of files. His tie was loosened, sleeves rolled to the elbows, the posture of someone perpetually overworked. Double quotes. "Mrs. Reynolds. I'm Marcus Patterson." He gestured to the chairs across from his desk. "How can I help you?" "My granddaughter," Sarah said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Sarah Taylor. Her mother is my daughter, Emma." Recognition flickered in Patterson's eyes. "The abandonment case. 3 months ago." "Not abandonment," Sarah said sharply. "My daughter is missing." "She didn't abandon her baby." Patterson's expression softened. "I apologize for the terminology. In our system, when a child is left with someone not legally responsible and the parent doesn't return... "Where is she?" Sarah interrupted. "Where's my granddaughter?" Patterson tapped his keyboard, bringing up a file. "Sarah Grace Taylor, 10 months old, currently placed with the Clark family, foster parents with an excellent record. I want to see her. Mrs. Reynolds. There are procedures. I'm her grandmother." Sarah leaned forward. "I didn't know she existed until yesterday. I didn't know my daughter was pregnant. I've been searching for Emma for 3 years." Patterson studied her, his expression unreadable. "You have proof of your relationship?" Sarah pulled out her driver's license and a photo of Emma. "This is my daughter. She named her baby after me." Patterson sighed, rubbing his temple. Even if we establish your relationship, there are legal considerations. You have no custody rights. I'm not asking for custody. Not yet. Sarah softened her voice. I just want to meet her to see that she's okay. Lisa leaned forward. My sister is a stable, employed homeowner. She's raised a child already. All she's asking for is a supervised visit. Patterson looked between them, then nodded slowly. I'll need to speak with the Clarks. They've been fostering Sarah for 3 months now. They've actually expressed interest in adoption. The word hit Sarah like a physical blow. Adoption. It's a common outcome in cases like this. Patterson's voice was gentle but matter. When a parent has been gone for 6 months with no contact, the court often terminates parental rights. 6 months, Sarah echoed. Emma's only been gone for 4, which gives us time to find her, Patterson acknowledged. Look, I'll arrange a meeting with the Clarks. They're good people. But Mrs. Reynolds, you should prepare yourself for what the Clarks are the only parents this baby has known for a quarter of her life. She's bonded with them. He held up a hand as Sarah started to protest. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it so you understand the complexity of the situation. Sarah nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. I'll call you tomorrow about setting up a meeting, Patterson said, standing. And Mrs. Reynolds, I truly hope you find your daughter. The Clarks lived in a tidy bungalow in a suburban neighborhood west of Portland. As Sarah and Lisa pulled into the driveway, a child's swing set was visible in the backyard, a red tricycle on the front porch. Remember what Patterson said, Lisa murmured as they approached the door. They don't know anything about Emma's situation. They just know the baby was surrendered by a temporary caregiver. Sarah nodded, unable to speak. Inside this house was her granddaughter, a piece of Emma, a piece of herself, a stranger. The door opened before they could knock. A woman in her late 30s smiled tentatively, blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, worry lines around kind eyes. Mrs. Reynolds, I'm Jennifer Clark. She stepped back to let them in. My husband Tom is in the living room with Sarah. Sarah followed on wooden legs, her heart hammering. The living room was sunny and cluttered with toys. A man sat on the carpet, building a tower of blocks. With Sarah stopped breathing. The baby girl had Emma's dark curls and Sarah's own hazel eyes. She wore overalls and a yellow t-shirt. Chubby legs stretched out in front of her as she concentrated on knocking over the block tower. Sarah, Jennifer called softly. Look who's here to meet you. The baby looked up, curious but unafraid. Tom Clark rose from the floor, a tall man with gentle movements. Please, sit down, he said, gesturing to the couch. She's just had her snack, so she's in a good mood. Sarah sank onto the couch, unable to take her eyes off the child. She looks just like Emma did at that age. Would you like to hold her? Jennifer asked. Before Sarah could answer, the baby crawled toward her, grabbing the hem of her pants to pull herself up. Tiny fingers gripped the fabric as hazel Lisa like her own studied Sarah's face. Hi Sarah, she whispered, her voice breaking. I'm your grandma. The baby smiled, revealing 4 tiny teeth, then promptly sat back on her bottom and returned to the blocks. She's been with us for 3 months now, Tom said, sitting across from them. She's thriving, already trying to walk. She's beautiful, Lisa said when Sarah couldn't speak. Thank you for taking such good care of her. An uncomfortable silence fell. Jennifer twisted her wedding ring. Mr. Patterson explained your situation, she finally said. About your daughter being missing. Sarah nodded. Emma's been gone for 3 years, but I only just learned about the baby. We didn't know, Tom said. We were told she was abandoned. She wasn't, Sarah said sharply, then softened her tone. Emma would never abandon her child willingly. She named her after me. The Clarks exchanged glances. Mrs. Reynolds, Jennifer began cautiously, we've grown to love Sarah very much. The implication hung in the air. Sarah looked at her granddaughter, now happily stacking blocks again. I'm not here to disrupt her life, Sarah said carefully. I'm here to find my daughter. But she's my granddaughter. I want to be part of her life while I search for Emma. Tom nodded slowly. We can respect that. Maybe regular visits while you're in Portland. I'm not leaving Portland until I find Emma, Sarah said with quiet determination. And I will find her. Baby Sarah chose that moment to crawl back to Sarah, offering her a red block like a gift. As Sarah accepted it, their fingers touched, and the baby smiled again. A smile. Thank you, Sarah whispered, to both the baby and the Clarks. Sarah's phone rang as she and Lisa left the Clarks' home. Detective Rivera's name lit up the screen. Reynolds. I've got something, he said without preamble. Credit card activity. Under Emma's name in Seattle, 2 days ago. Sarah's heart lurched. Seattle? That's only 3 hours from here. Gas station purchase, then a grocery store. Portland PD is sending the security footage. We'll head there now, Sarah said, already changing direction toward their rental car. Be careful, Rivera warned. If she's running from someone, there's a reason. The drive to Seattle passed in tense silence, Sarah gripping the wheel while Lisa searched for affordable hotels. They found a motel near the gas station where Emma's card had been used, a rundown place with weekly rates and few questions. The next morning they met with Detective Alvarez, Rivera's cousin, in a Seattle police station. He slid a folder across the table. I've got bad news, he said, his voice sympathetic. The security footage isn't your daughter. Sarah opened the folder to find grainy images of a thin blonde woman using a credit card. Not Emma. The card was reported stolen yesterday, Alvarez continued, from a university student's mailbox. Stolen, Sarah echoed, the brief flare of hope extinguished. I'm sorry to waste your time. Back at the motel, Sarah sat on the edge of the bed staring at the wall. Emma's trail had gone cold again. The baby blanket lay beside her, its familiar weight no longer comforting. We'll try something else, Lisa said, sitting beside her. The art angle Jade mentioned, or it's hopeless, Sarah whispered. 3 years, Lisa. 3 years she's been gone, and now there's a baby involved, and I'm no closer to finding her than I was when she first left. That's not true. We know she was in Portland. We know about the baby. We know she was afraid of someone, probably the baby's father, and none of that tells us where she is now. Sarah's voice rose, years of suppressed emotion finally breaking free. My granddaughter is with strangers. My daughter is out there somewhere, terrified, and I can't help her because I don't know where to look. She buried her face in her hands, sobs tearing through her body. Lisa wrapped an arm around her shoulders, saying nothing, just being present as 3 years of fear and loneliness poured out. When the storm passed, Sarah wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for feeling, Lisa said. You've been so strong. For so long. Sarah picked up the baby blanket, running her thumb over the embroidered butterflies. We should go back to Portland. At least I can spend time with baby Sarah while we figure out our next move. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. There's something I need to tell you. Something in her sister's voice made Sarah turn. What is it? Emma called me once about a year ago. The words hung in the air between them. Sarah stared, unable to process what she was hearing. She called you. Her voice was barely audible. And you didn't tell me. She made me promise. Lisa looked down at her hands. She said if I told you, she'd disappear completely. She was frantic, Sarah, terrified. What did she say? Sarah's fingers tightened around the blanket. Where was she? She wouldn't say. She just wanted to know if you were okay. Lisa finally met Sarah's gaze. And she made me swear that if anything happened to her, I'd make sure you were taken care of. If anything happened, Sarah repeated, ice forming around her heart. I think she knew she was in danger. Sarah, real danger. The drive back to Portland stretched between them like a frozen river, silence filling the car. Sarah stared out the window, watching rain-soaked landscapes blur past. She called you, she finally said as Seattle vanished in the rearview mirror. Not a question, an accusation. Lisa's hands tightened on the steering wheel. It was the middle of the night. I almost didn't answer, but you did. She was crying, Sarah, sobbing. I could barely understand her. Sarah turned to look at her sister's profile. Tell me everything, word for word. Lisa sighed. She said, Aunt Lisa, it's Emma. Don't tell Mum I called. She sounded terrified. I asked where she was, if she was hurt. She wouldn't say. What did she tell you? That she'd gotten involved with someone dangerous, someone controlling. Lisa swallowed hard. She said she'd made a terrible mistake, that this man had isolated her from everyone, convinced her that running away was the only option. His name, did she give you his name? Nathan or Nate, I think. She was crying so hard. Lisa glanced at Sarah. She said he'd threatened to hurt you if she ever tried to leave him. Sarah pressed a hand to her mouth. That's why she disappeared. Without warning, she thought she was protecting you. Lisa's voice softened. When she finally did leave him, she was already pregnant. She was hiding from him, not from you. But she called you, not me. Because she knew I wouldn't try to find her. She knew you would. Lisa reached over to touch Sarah's arm. She made me promise that if anything happened to her, I'd make sure you knew she loved you. That everything she did was to keep you safe. And you kept this from me for a year. Sarah's voice was hollow. While I thought my daughter might be dead, you knew she was alive. I knew she had been alive a year ago, Lisa corrected gently. and I've regretted not telling you every day since. But I was afraid if I broke my promise, she'd cut off that last lifeline. Sarah turned back to the window, tears sliding down her cheeks. Did she mention the baby? No. Lisa frowned. She must have already been pregnant, but she didn't say anything about it. So she escaped this Nathan person, had the baby, then disappeared again 4 months ago. Sarah wiped her eyes. Something happened. Something that made her leave her baby with Jay, or someone found her, Lisa said quietly. The implication hung in the air between them, dark and heavy. I need to know more about this man, Sarah said as they crossed the Oregon border. If he's the one who threatened her, who she ran from, who she might still be running from, Lisa finished, then he's the key to finding her. Sarah pulled out her phone, dialing Detective Rivera, and I'm going to find her before he does. As Lisa drove on through the rain, Sarah filled Rivera in on what they'd learned, asking him to search for any man named Nathan or Nate with connections to Emma in Maplewood. We'll go back to the shelter tomorrow, Sarah said as she hung up. Grace might know more about this Nathan person, and we should talk to Jade again too. Sarah, Lisa said hesitantly. What if Emma doesn't want to be found? She sent me the baby blanket, Sarah replied, clutching the worn fabric, with coordinates. She's asking for help the only way she can, or saying goodbye, Lisa whispered. Sarah shook her head firmly. No, she's alive, she's out there, and she needs me. The community center was tucked between a laundromat and a Vietnamese restaurant, its entrance marked by a simple sign, healing. Together, inside, metal folding chairs formed a circle beneath fluorescent lights that buzzed softly overhead. You're sure about this? Lisa asked as they found seats. That Sarah nodded. Grace from the shelter had suggested the support group for families of missing persons. Someone here might understand what we're dealing with. People filtered in slowly tired faces, slumped shoulders, the invisible weight of absence hanging from each of them. Sarah recognized the look from her own mirror. A middle-aged woman with silver-streaked braids introduced herself as the facilitator. I see we have new faces tonight. Would you like to share? Sarah hesitated, then stood. My name is Sarah. My daughter Emma disappeared 3 years ago, when she was 18. I recently discovered she has a baby, my granddaughter, who's in foster care here in Portland. Emma's been missing for 4 months now. Murmurs of sympathy circled the room. A woman with deep crow's feet and tired eyes approached Sarah after the meeting. I'm Helen, she said, extending a hand. My daughter Bryn had a similar situation. Abusive boyfriend, running, hiding. Did you find her? Sarah asked, hope fluttering like a trapped bird. Helen nodded. After 2 years, she'd been moving through artist communities, places where people don't ask too many questions. Emma's artistic, Sarah said, memories surfacing. She used to draw constantly. Her teachers thought she had real talent. Bryn found safe houses through an underground network for domestic violence survivors. Helen continued, but she also supported herself by selling art at small galleries, street fairs, places like that. Sarah felt the first real glimmer of hope in days. Where would I look? I'll text you some places to start, Helen said, exchanging numbers. The Arts District has several cooperative studios, and there's an annual street fair happening this weekend in Alberta Arts District. Back at their motel, Sarah spread a map of Portland across the bed, marking galleries and studios in red. If Emma's been hiding in artist communities, she might have changed her appearance, Lisa pointed out. We should bring a few different photos. Sarah's phone pinged with a text from Helen, addresses of 3 cooperative studios, a coffee shop that displayed local art, and a ceramics workshop that offered anonymous drop-in sessions. We'll start tomorrow, Sarah said, circling locations on the map. The next day, they visited the first studio, a converted warehouse, where artists rented small spaces. No one recognized Emma's photo. The coffee shop yielded nothing. At the ceramics workshop, an older man squinted at the picture. Might have seen her dark hair, right? But shorter, with bangs. Sarah's pulse quickened when, few months back, quiet girl, good with glazes. It wasn't much, but it was something. The third studio on Helen's list was in an industrial area south of downtown. Riverside Collective, read the faded sign. Inside, the walls were covered with murals, vibrant colors, flowing lines. A young man with tattooed arms approached, looking for someone to commission. I'm looking for my daughter, Sarah said, showing Emma's photo. She's an artist. He shook his head, but as they turned to leave, Sarah froze. On the far wall hung a painting of a dark-haired woman cradling an infant, their faces obscured but their posture unmistakably intimate. In the corner was a signature, a small butterfly, identical to those embroidered on the baby blanket. That painting, Sarah whispered. Who did it? New girl. Called herself Ellie. Talented, but skittish. Didn't stay long. Sarah moved closer, her hand reaching out to touch the canvas. When was she here? Couple months ago. Left suddenly. He frowned. Some guy came looking for her. Real intense type. Sarah's blood ran cold. What did he look like? Tall, clean-cut, expensive watch. Said he was her brother. Sarah turned to Lisa, whose face mirrored her own fear. Emma had no brother. Do you have anything else of hers? Sarah asked. Sketches. Contact information. She left a sketchbook. Didn't come back for it. He disappeared into a back room, returning with a worn notebook. You can have it if you're really her mum, not like she's coming back for it. In their motel room, Sarah spread the sketchbook's contents across the bed. Emma's distinctive style was unmistakable: fluid lines, emotional depth in simple images. The early pages showed landscapes, buildings Sarah recognized from Portland. Then came the darker images, a man's silhouette looming in a doorway, a bird in a cage, a woman running, something clutched to her chest. These are from when she was still with him, Lisa said softly. Nathan. The later pages shifted again. Sketches of a pregnant belly, growing larger, an infant's sleeping face, rendered with exquisite tenderness. A self-portrait of Emma holding the baby, looking both terrified and fiercely protective. The final drawing stopped Sarah's breath. It showed a woman in a postal uniform, delivering mail, unaware she was being watched from a distance by a younger woman with a baby. She was watching me, Sarah whispered. She was in Maplewood. Lisa asked, examining the drawing. How long ago? I don't know. Sarah turned the page, but the rest were blank. She must have been there recently, after she left the baby with Jade. But why wouldn't she approach you? She was afraid. Sarah traced the lines of her own face, drawn with such care. She wanted to make sure I was okay, but was afraid to make contact. Lisa gathered the drawings, careful of their fragility. We should show these to Detective Alvarez. There might be clues about where she went next. Sarah nodded, but her attention had caught on something else: an address scribbled in the margin of one page. Look at this. It's here in Portland. A quick internet search revealed a coffee shop in the Northwest District. Open late, Sarah noted. We can go tonight. Cascadia Coffee occupied a corner space. Its windows steamed against the evening chill. Inside, mismatched furniture and local art created a bohemian atmosphere. A bulletin board near the counter overflowed with flyers for art shows, rooms for rent, and music lessons. What can I get you? Asked the barista, a young woman with a nose ring and kind eyes. Sarah showed her Emma's photo. I'm looking for my daughter. She might have come here. Called herself Ellie. Recognition flickered in the barista's eyes. Dark hair with bangs. Quiet, always sketching. Sarah's heart leaped. That's her. When was she last here? Maybe 6 weeks ago. She used to come in late. Always sat by the window. Good tipper. The barista hesitated. She seemed scared of something. Always watching the door. Did she talk to anyone? Mention where she was staying? Not to me, but she used to post on that board. She pointed to the bulletin board. Looking for odd jobs. I think. Sarah scanned the cluttered notices, finding nothing with Emma's writing. As she turned away, disappointed, Lisa called her over to a smaller board behind the counter. Safe houses. Read the discreet heading. Beneath were phone numbers and code words. No addresses, no names, just lifelines. For people in danger. She might have used one of these, Lisa said quietly. We can't call them all, Sarah replied. They wouldn't tell us anything anyway. Not if they're truly safe houses. As they prepared to leave, the barista approached with a napkin. I just remembered she drew this for me once. She handed Sarah a small sketch of the coffee shop, signed with the butterfly emblem. She said if anyone ever came looking for her, to tell them she was okay but had to keep moving. Sarah stared at the napkin, her vision blurring with tears. Did she say anything else? Just that she hoped to go home someday, when it was safe. The barista hesitated. I hope you find her. Outside, rain fell softly on the darkened street. Sarah clutched the napkin, a fragile connection to her daughter. She's alive, she whispered. 6 weeks ago, she was alive. And she wants to come home, Lisa added gently. When it's safe, then we need to make it safe. Sarah's voice hardened with determination. We need to find this Nathan person. If he's the danger she's running from, we need to neutralize that threat. As they walked back to their car, Sarah felt eyes on her back. She turned quickly, scanning the street, but saw only shadows and rain. The next morning, Sarah sat in the Clark's sunny living room, watching baby Sarah stack colored rings on a plastic pole. The infant's concentration, the slight furrow of her brow. It was pure Emma. She's doing so well with her fine motor skills, Jennifer Clark commented, pride evident in her voice. Sarah smiled, pushing away the twinge of jealousy. She's beautiful. As Jennifer went to prepare bottles, the doorbell rang. Tom answered it while Sarah remained with the baby. There's someone here for you, Tom said, returning with a puzzled expression. Says he's a friend from back home. Sarah frowned. No one from Maplewood knew she was here except Rivera. She gently set baby Sarah down with her toys and walked to the entryway. A tall man in his late 20s stood just inside the door, expensively dressed, with a smile that didn't reach his cold eyes. Mrs. Reynolds, his voice was smooth, cultured. I'm Nathan Blackwell. I've been so worried about Emma. Ice flooded Sarah's veins. Nathan here, in the Clark's home, near her granddaughter. How did you find me? She asked, keeping her voice steady despite the panic rising in her throat. Small towns talk. I heard you'd taken leave to come to Portland. His smile widened. I've been looking for Emma for so long. When I heard you were searching too, I thought we might help each other. Every instinct screamed danger. This was the man Emma had fled from, the man who had threatened her. I haven't found her, Sarah said carefully. I'm visiting friends while I search. Nathan's gaze moved past her, toward the living room where baby Sarah played. Friends with a baby. How nice. Lisa appeared from the kitchen, stopping short when she saw Nathan. Recognition flashed in her eyes. She'd heard Emma's description of him during that midnight call. We should go, Lisa said pointedly to Sarah. We have that appointment, remember? Of course. Sarah turned to Nathan. I'm sorry, we have to leave. How can I reach you if I learn anything? He handed her a business card. I'll be in Portland for a few more days. Please call me immediately if you hear from Emma. I've been so concerned. Outside, Sarah's legs nearly gave way. He found us. He found the baby. He doesn't know it's his, Lisa said, hustling Sarah to their car. He's suspicious, but he doesn't know for sure. Sarah's hands shook as she started the engine. We need to warn the Clarks. They can't let him near baby Sarah. We need to call Rivera and Alvarez first, Lisa insisted, already dialing. That man is dangerous, Sarah. I could feel it. As they drove, Sarah kept checking the rearview mirror. He's following us. Lisa turned to look. A black SUV maintained a careful distance behind them. Turn here quick. Sarah swerved into a shopping center parking lot, navigating through rows of cars before pulling behind a delivery truck. The SUV cruised past slowly. He's hunting her, Sarah whispered. And now he's hunting us too. Lisa finished her call to Alvarez. Police will meet us at the motel. They're sending someone to the Clarks too, just in case. At the motel, Detective Alvarez was waiting with a female officer. Sarah showed them Nathan's business card. Nathan Blackwell, Alvarez read, investment banker from Chicago. How did he know about Emma? He said people in Maplewood told him I was searching in Portland. Sarah's voice shook. He's the one Emma was running from. He threatened to hurt me if she left him, and now he's found your granddaughter, Alvarez said grimly. We need to move her, Sarah insisted. The Clarks too. They're not safe. First, we need evidence, Alvarez replied. Without proof, he's a threat. We can't do much. Sarah pulled out her phone, showing the photo she'd secretly taken of Nathan. Run his name. There has to be something, a restraining order, a complaint. Emma wouldn't have run if there wasn't real danger. As Alvarez made calls, Sarah paced the small motel room, fear and determination warring within her. Emma had protected her by running. Now it was Sarah's turn to protect Emma's child. The underground parking garage echoed with Sarah's footsteps as she hurried toward her rental car. Alvarez had found 3 domestic violence complaints against Nathan Blackwell, all mysteriously withdrawn. They needed more evidence, and Sarah remembered Emma's sketchbook was still in the car. The garage was dimly lit, concrete pillars creating pools of shadow. Sarah quickened her pace, keys clutched in her hand. Mrs. Reynolds. The voice froze her. In place, Nathan stepped from behind a pillar, blocking her path to the car. Mr. Blackwell, she said, fighting to keep her voice steady. I was just leaving. To go where? He moved closer, his expensive cologne cloying in the enclosed space. To meet Emma, perhaps. I told you, I haven't found her yet. You've been visiting my daughter. His smile vanished, replaced by cold fury. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? The baby at that house, she has Emma's eyes. Sarah's blood ran cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lying. His voice echoed against concrete walls. That child is mine. Emma had no right to hide her from me. Emma had every right to protect her child from you. Sarah shot back, anger overriding fear. I know what you did to my daughter. How you isolated her, threatened her. Nathan's face twisted. Emma is my wife. The baby is mine. I'm taking them both home where they belong. Wife. Sarah's mind reeled. Emma never married you, not legally, perhaps, but in every way that matters. His eyes gleamed with a possessiveness that made Sarah's skin crawl. No, where is she? I don't know. The truth. Finally, Nathan stepped closer. I don't believe you. Emma's weak. She'd run to Mummy eventually. She's not weak, Sarah said, straightening her spine. She escaped you. She protected her baby from you. That takes incredible strength. His hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. You're going to tell me where she is, or what? Lisa's voice rang out from behind him. She stood with Detective Alvarez and 2 uniformed officers, all with weapons. Draw and let her go, Blackwell. Nathan's grip tightened painfully, then released. He stepped back, professional mask sliding back into place. There seems to be a misunderstanding. Officers, Nathan Blackwell, Alvarez said formally. We'd like to ask you some questions about outstanding warrants in Illinois and Michigan. Warrants? Nathan's confident facade cracked slightly. There must be some mistake. No mistake. Identity theft, fraud, stalking across state lines. Alvarez moved forward. Please place your hands behind your back. For a moment, Sarah thought Nathan would comply. Then he lunged, shoving her hard against a concrete pillar as he bolted toward an exit. One officer stayed with Sarah while the others pursued. The impact left her dazed, Lisa's concerned face swimming above her. Are you hurt? Lisa asked, helping her sit up. Just bruised, Sarah managed. Did they catch him? Before Lisa could answer, footsteps approached. Alvarez returned, breathing hard. We got him. He's in custody. Relief washed over Sarah. The warrants are, they real, very. He's wanted in 3 states. Changed his name several times. Alvarez helped her stand. Your daughter had good reason to run, Mrs. Reynolds. We need to warn the Clarks, Sarah said, wincing at the pain in her back. And we need protection for baby Sarah. Already arranged. And we've put out an alert for Emma. If she's still in the area, we'll find her. As they left the parking garage, Sarah gazed up at the cloudy Portland sky. For the first time since finding the baby blanket, she felt a weight lifting. Nathan was in custody, her granddaughter was safe. Now she just needed to find Emma and bring her home. The woman who met Sarah at the coffee shop introduced herself only as Mira. She had bricked black hair pulled into a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. Detective Alvarez vouched for you, she said, stirring her untouched tea. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I understand, Sarah replied. Thank you for meeting me. Mira nodded once, sharp and precise. You're looking for your daughter, Emma Taylor, who goes by Ellie now. Hope searched through Sarah. You know her. I run a network of safe houses for women escaping dangerous situations. Myra's voice remained neutral, giving nothing away. We maintain strict confidentiality. It's the only way to keep our clients safe. Nathan Blackwell is in custody, Sarah said. Multiple warrants. He can't hurt her anymore. For now. Men like him have resources, connections, they find ways. Mira studied Sarah intently. Why should I trust you? Sarah placed Emma's baby blanket on the table. Because I'm her mother. Because she sent me this, with coordinates. Because she named her baby after me. Myra's expression softened fractionally. The baby, is she safe? With foster parents. Good people. Sarah leaned forward. Please, is Emma in your network? A long silence stretched between them. Finally, Mira sighed. She moved through 3 of our houses in 6 months. She left the last one 4 months ago, after a panic attack. Said she'd been spotted, that she needed to disappear completely. When she left her baby with Jade, Sarah murmured. She believed it was the only way to keep the child safe. Myra's voice held no judgment. Some of our women make impossible choices. Do you know where she went? No, that's the truth. Mira tapped her fingers on the table, considering. But I can deliver a message, if she's still in contact with anyone in our network. Sarah pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter she'd written the night before, pouring her heart onto the page. I've included my phone number, she said, handing it to Mira, and the motel where we're staying. Mira tucked the envelope into her jacket. I can't promise anything. I understand, Sarah hesitated. There's one more thing. Emma's sketchbook, there was a drawing of me delivering mail. I think she came back to Maplewood to check on me. Possible, Myra acknowledged. Some women need to verify their abusers haven't harmed their families. Could she have sent the blanket as a message? To let me know she's alive. Or as a goodbye, Myra said gently. Sometimes women in her situation need to make clean breaks. New identities, new lives. But she has a daughter, Sarah protested. A beautiful little girl who needs her mother. And a mother who was willing to give up that daughter to keep her safe. Mira stood, signaling the end of their meeting. That kind of love is rare, Mrs. Reynolds. Honor it, whatever you discover. That night in the motel, Sarah stared at her phone, willing it to ring. Lisa had gone to dinner with Detective Alvarez, who had become a steady presence during their stay in Portland. A knock at the door startled her. Sarah approached cautiously, peering through the peephole. A teenage girl stood outside, chewing gum nervously. Yeah, Sarah called through the door. Message from Mira, the girl replied, shifting from foot to foot. Sarah opened the door. The girl thrust a folded paper into her hand, then darted away without another word. With trembling fingers, Sarah unfolded the note. Just 3 words in unfamiliar handwriting. She got it. Emma had received her letter. Now all Sarah could do was wait. 2 weeks passed with no word from Emma. Nathan Blackwell remained in custody, facing charges in 3 states. The Clarks had agreed to let Sarah visit baby Sarah 3 times a week while she remained in Portland. Lisa had returned to Maplewood to resume teaching, leaving Sarah alone in the motel room that had become a temporary home. Her emergency leave from the postal service was nearly exhausted. Soon, she would have to make difficult decisions. On her last scheduled day in Portland, Sarah requested one final delivery route. She'd worked with the local post office during her stay, picking up occasional shifts to supplement her dwindling savings. The familiar rhythm of delivering mail had kept her grounded amidst the emotional turbulence. The route took her through a quiet neighborhood of modest homes and small apartment buildings. Autumn leaves crunched beneath her feet as she moved from house to house. The weight of her mailbag gradually lightening. At the end of the route was a small park, where Sarah was to deliver a package to the maintenance office. As she crossed the grassy area, she noticed a young woman sitting alone on a bench, dark hair falling forward to hide her face. Something about her posture, the way she held herself, made Sarah slow her steps. The woman looked up, tucking her hair behind her, ear hazel Isamus Sarah's. The mailbag slipped from Sarah's shoulder, landing with a soft thud on the grass. Neither of them moved for a long moment, separated by 20 feet and 3 years of absence. Then Emma stood, uncertainty in every line of her body. She looked thinner, older, with short hair dyed a darker shade of brown, but her eyes were unchanged. "Mom," she said, the word barely audible. Sarah closed the distance between them in a heartbeat, pulling her daughter into her arms. Emma stiffened, then melted into the embrace, her body shaking with silent sobs. "I found you," Sarah whispered into her daughter's hair. "I finally found you." "I'm sorry," Emma repeated, the words muffled against Sarah's shoulder. "I'm so sorry." They sank onto the bench, still holding each other. When they finally separated, Sarah kept one hand on Emma's arm, afraid she might disappear again. "Nathan's in custody," Sarah said. "Multiple warrants. He can't hurt you anymore." Emma's eyes widened. "How did he found me," Sarah explained. "He came looking for you and the baby." "The baby," Emma whispered, pain flashing across her face. She's beautiful," Sarah assured her. "Healthy, happy, the Clarks are taking good care of her. I didn't want to leave her." Emma's voice broke. "But he found me again. I saw him watching the apartment. I couldn't risk him finding her." "You protected her," Sarah said gently. "Like you tried to protect me by leaving Maplewood." Emma looked down at her hands. "He said he'd hurt you if I ever left him, that he had people watching you. I believed him. I know, sweetheart. After I escaped, I was afraid to contact you, afraid he'd track me through you." Emma wiped her eyes. "But then I got pregnant, and everything changed. I wanted to come home so badly." "Why didn't you?" "Because he was still out there, still looking." Emma's voice hardened. "I saw him in Portland, right after Sarah was born. Just a glimpse. But I knew. So I kept running. And the blanket. Why send it now? I heard he'd left the area, gone back east. I thought it might be safe to reach out." Emma met her mother's gaze. "I needed to know if you'd even want to see me. After everything." "Oh, Emma." Sarah cupped her daughter's face. "I never stopped looking for you, not for one day." For the first time, Emma smiled, tentative, fragile, but real. "Mira gave me your letter. You found the coordinates. And Detective Rivera found the credit card activity. And Helen from the support group pointed us to the art studios." Sarah smiled through her tears. "You left us a trail of breadcrumbs. I wasn't sure anyone would follow it," Emma admitted. "I will always find you," Sarah promised. "Always." 6 months later, Sarah's living room was no longer quiet. Baby toys littered the floor, colorful plastic islands in a sea of carpet. From the kitchen came the sound of Emma's laughter as she prepared dinner, a sound Sarah had once feared she might never hear again. "She's standing," Emma called. "Mom, come quick." Sarah hurried from her bedroom, still in her postal uniform, after her shift. In the kitchen, 15-month-old Sarah clung to the edge of a chair, wobbling on uncertain legs, but definitely upright. Her face split into a grin of pure delight when she saw her grandmother. "That's my big girl," Sarah cooed, kneeling to the baby's level. "Are you going to walk to Grandma?" The baby bounced excitedly but stayed firmly attached to the chair. Emma laughed, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. She looked healthier now, her face filled out, eyes bright. The darkness hadn't completely left her. Sarah sometimes heard her crying at night, and she still startled at unexpected noises, but she was healing. The court case against Nathan Blackwell had proceeded without requiring Emma's testimony. His other victims had come forward, building an overwhelming case. He would remain imprisoned for years, possibly decades. With the threat removed, Emma had begun the process of regaining custody of her daughter. The Clarks had been surprisingly supportive, recognizing the bond between mother and child. They remained in contact, occasional visitors who'd become extended family. "Detective Rivera called," Sarah said, scooping up her granddaughter as she finally released the chair. Nathan's plea deal was accepted. No parole for at least 12 years. Emma's shoulders relaxed visibly. "Good. That's single quotes, good. And Lisa's coming for the weekend. She wants to take this little one to the park." Sarah bounced the baby, who giggled and patted her grandmother's face. "I got an email from the community college," Emma said, changing the subject. "They accepted my application for the graphic design program." "That's wonderful," Sarah beamed with pride. "When do you start?" "January. Just 2 classes, to begin with." Emma stirred the sauce thoughtfully. "I thought I might offer to design some flyers for the Safe House network to give back a little." Sarah nodded, understanding. In the months since their reunion, Emma had slowly reconnected with the network that had protected her, now offering support to other women in similar situations. The mailroom at Sarah's post office had been designated a safe drop location, a place where women could send and receive mail without fear of being tracked. After dinner, as Emma bathed the baby, Sarah sat on the porch swing, watching the sun set over Maplewood. Her life had changed completely in 6 months. The house that had been a shrine to absence was now bursting with life. There were still challenges, Emma's nightmares, the custody arrangements, the financial strain of supporting 3 generations under one roof, but these were welcome problems, so much better than the hollow ache of not knowing. The screen door creaked as Emma joined her on the porch. Baby Sarah in pajamas on her hip. "She wants to say goodnight to Grandma," Emma said, passing the sleepy child to Sarah. Sarah cradled her granddaughter, inhaling the sweet scent of baby shampoo. "Good night, little one." As the baby drifted toward sleep, Emma sat beside her mother on the swing, their shoulders touching. "I never thought I'd be back here," she admitted softly. "I never thought I'd feel safe again." "This will always be your safe place," Sarah promised. "Always." The next morning, Sarah donned her postal uniform as usual, but now, instead of carrying the weight of uncertainty with her mailbag, she carried hope. At the end of her route, she knew Emma and baby Sarah would be waiting for her at home, the most precious delivery she'd ever received. As she placed letters in mailboxes throughout Maplewood, Sarah thought about the journey that had brought them here: a baby blanket with coordinates, a sketchbook filled with fear and love, a daughter lost and found, a granddaughter to cherish. Sometimes the most important packages arrived when you least expected them.